Welcome to the Abolitionist Roundtable with your hosts Del, Phil, and Janice. Come on in and take a seat. You're invited to join the roundtable. Call 734-822-1600 to get into the conversation. And now, your hosts, Del Marsh, Phil Stargell, and Janice Daniels.
And good morning. This is Phil Stargell, and the Abolitionist Roundtable is bringing you this morning some news and some views on some of the events that have been happening. And it is a very, very tight schedule that we're going to be on this morning. And I want to get right into it. First of all, good morning, Mayor Janice. And we also have in the studio Pastor Richard Deitering.
Good morning, Phil.
And for the present, we are missing on in the middle, not on the left, not on the right, but in the middle. Dale Marsh is on his way to the studio as we speak. But what I want to do is just give everybody knows from his commentaries on Wham, Moment of Clarity, and that's Pastor Rick. He's also a member of the Black Robe Regiment. And just give us a real quick summary of what that Black Robe Regiment is about.
Oh, the Black Robe Regiment is a group of pastors who decided to stand together, state that we have a responsibility to stand against tyranny, not just against spiritual tyranny, but temporal tyranny also, which means from our government or, those around that would attack the church. Mm-hmm. In this case, we spend a lot of time when the government has been attacking the church, and they've been doing it a lot lately.
Yes.
So we have a responsibility, just as in the time of the Revolution, as the pastor stood up on the pulpit and stood against the tyranny of King George, mm-hmm. that we as pastors have the responsibility, not just
a responsibility.
We have an actual responsibility to stand up against the tyranny of the government.
It's in the Constitution that we have a duty to destroy or abolish a government that becomes tyrannous, and that's what we're facing today. Right.
And that whole concept came right from the original Black Robe Regiment, which, by the way, the Black Robe Regiment, the original that name was given to the pastors by the English
in the Revolutionary War.
Right, and so it was that whole idea from the pulpit is we have to stand against tyranny. Yeah. Right now, in my own church, I am calling for acts of civil disobedience, and
we want to get right to that. But first of all, I want to get with the mayor here. And because she wrote an article a couple of years ago, and I want that to be, because we've got a real tight thing, and mm-hmm. we want to cover as much of this as we can get to, because we have a very special guest coming on at 7:30. All right, Mayor, would you go give us a quick overview of your article that you wrote for, what is that article?
Well, I actually had an article published on Western Journalism, which mm-hmm. is a real nice conservative news site, westernjournalism.com, and I wrote it in 2015 with regard to illegal immigration and what a plan might look like to be able to use compassion but logic in getting our country back on track to have a rule of law country. Mm-hmm. And first of all, secure the border. That's a no-brainer. That has to happen, and we have the technology to do that. In my article, I say, why don't we use some of that technology that they're using in Utah to track the people of the United States, and instead use that technology to track the illegal aliens.
And this is that tracking of the people that they're using is going to be involved in putting gas taxes on each and every one of us, because that's what ultimately is going to happen once they start using global
tracking,
position tracking. Yep. They're gonna use that to tax us for the fuel. I mean, because, they're not really making any money on the gas the way it is. But go ahead.
Well, and that just speaks of the misguided nature of our leadership. Yes. I don't know what happens to people when they get into public office, but again, we've talked about that a lot, that allure of power. It corrupts even the best of us.
I've heard that the technology that they have with the drones and stuff like that would be very effective in keeping that border secure.
Absolutely.
And what is this? This is a 5-point plan that you have.
That's right.
And number one among them is to secure the border.
Absolutely. That's
So,
number one. It has to happen. It has to be zero tolerance. Yeah. It is a fact. We have to secure the border. Then, once the border is secure, we take the illegal aliens that are populating our prisons and our jails and send them back to the prisons and jails of the country of their origin. According to 2010 data provided by one state department, California taxpayers alone are paying $1 billion a year to house illegal alien prisoners. Yeah. That's incomprehensible. So get the illegal prisoners into the countries of their origin, the prisons of their country origin, and then we would look at deporting illegal aliens who are actively taking advantage of our health care.
Yes.
Let the countries of their origin take care of their health care needs. Again, we're spending about $2 billion a year for emergency treatment for illegal aliens.
Yes.
And then look at the third group of people. This is the next point of my plan. Look at the people who are taking American entitlements again. So what my plan consists of is looking at the worst of the worst and getting rid of them first. And then the people who are unhealthy, send them back to their countries of their origin. Let them take care of their health care needs. And, I've often thought that rather than import all of the world's problems, why aren't we exporting some of America's greatness? Why aren't we going to other countries and helping them? I mean, I know that we do this. There are organizations, the Red Cross, etc., and that needs to be advanced instead of importing all of the problems. And then last but not least, after we have the criminals, the sickly, and the welfare recipients in the countries of their origin, then we can take a look at the people who have crossed our border illegally, who came here to be productive members of this country. And then we have to have a national dialogue about how we're going to address that situation. So, again, I think there's some compassion that we need to show to people who have come here to simply have a better life. And we're not interested in hurting people who are honestly productively helping this country, because that's the nature of immigration, is that people are supposed to assimilate and help us build a strong country. So that's my 5-point plan.
Yeah, very, very sensible. And to me, it's something that should have came, not everything that we know of, every good thing aspect of our government has come from the grassroots. But this is what we need more of, and this is why we need to get active. Everybody out there should be demanding that their local governments do everything they can to start this process in the motion. We don't want any more, what's her name, Kate Steinle?
Oh,
the lady that...
Catherine Steinle. Oh, my God.
To be murdered, and certainly we don't want the backlash from that when people say nasty things about people like Donald Trump because he's telling you the truth.
Yep.
And so it's just like everything else. The liberals in this country, as soon as you identify an action that they are responsible for creating, they turn around and make it out that you are demonizing the victim instead of recognizing the truth and trying to do something about those kind of things so it doesn't happen again.
Just on your 5-point plan, and this is something I take quick to heart on this. That last point is dealing with the ones that are already over here, productive parts of us. We have to remember, first and foremost, and as a Christian we're told to, on certain laws, if they're not ungodly, to follow them. And they are over here illegally. We have to keep that in mind.
That's right.
And next thing, and this is where my mind always goes when I hear stuff like this, is I know there are millions of people that want to come into this country and are trying to do it the proper way. And the second you give somebody who broke the law to get over here precedence, you push those people back in line.
Yeah.
And I think that shows a lack of compassion for those who are trying to do it right.
And it's only for one reason that this is allowed to continue, and that is because of the same thing that was said during the civil rights legislation. Those civil rights prompted Lyndon Johnson to say he'll have those N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. This is what is the ultimate outcome of this open door policy that we have. It's an international money grab, basically what it is. It's a grab for wealth that our president and most of the Democrat Party are in on. And so we have got to get people awakened to the fact that we have been sold out to the internationalists by the Democrat Party, and they are the ones that's responsible for the death of that young lady in San Francisco and more of the people that are being killed. And look, they always talk about the murder and the rape and stuff like that, but what about the identity fraud that's being perpetrated? That this is a problem that you don't look. I have somebody that worked under my name and Social Security number for over 18 years.
Wow.
And there's a pot of money there that's just sitting there because nobody knows where this person is. But being a construction worker, this is what somebody stole my identification, and there's 18 years of pension sitting up there in Flint that I can't access, but it's still there.
And Pastor Deitering, I agree with you. The people that are coming into the country legally should have some precedence. They should have some.
Should have all of the precedence.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
should be the focus.
But the fact remains, we have people in this country who came here illegally, who are being members of society. They're in good standing. They're not breaking any other laws. I agree. I know. I said they're not breaking any other laws, and so that's why my fifth point of my plan is to start a national dialogue about what we do with them. I'm not saying that I have the answers. I'm saying that at this point, once we have the criminals and the sickly and the welfare recipients in their own countries, then we can start to have a dialogue about how to properly align.
The dialogue has been hijacked because right now you've got people that are against the policies of President Obama as because they don't want. They say that he has deported too many people.